What's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. We've got a good show for you today. As always, we've got a Patriots win, and we've got a Mahomes little boo-hooey, and we've got about a billion teams all bottlenecked for a wild card slate. It should be a good show. RPF, my friend, before we dive into all of the details and all the good stuff, how are you today, my friend?
Talking about the neuralizer, I think it's called, from Men in Black.
That's right. That's right.
I'm wearing these colors and this team to kind of have, as a collective fan base, we just all need to really focus on getting that neuralizer and ignore the last 5 minutes of the Monday night game, because it was truly. Anyway, besides that, I'm fine.
Besides that, we're fine. Yes, it was a tough one. Hey, you can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast: Apple, Spotify, Podbean. All the great platforms. You can find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. All right, RPF, my friend, let's do a very quick recap of Week 14. It was like a billion years ago, it feels like. However, I cannot dismiss the fact that I don't know if I'm happy or if I'm upset that my Patriots won.
I was funny because I was just thinking that the first half, Zappy led the team as if exactly how I felt the Patriots would be this entire year. They would be. They were bend not break. They were pretty solid, but not great. No, nothing break. It was just like efficient and maybe end up 9-8 or something. That type of thing. They were exactly what I thought they would be for one half, and then the second half they went, oh shit. We're the Patriots. We can't score. They didn't score. They hung on by a fingernail, and they won. Oh, my God. So, so congrats to that.
So here's what I did, because in my old age, I like going to bed early. So I watched the first half, all right, and we were winning 21-10. And at halftime, I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to bed because one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to win, and we're already winning, and so no big deal. Or we're going to lose, and I don't want to watch that.
Your analysis of how sports works is astounding, by the way.
It's astounding. But so I woke up in the morning, and I was like, I got my phone. I was like,
I know, right?
And I was like, oh my gosh! And I was like, oh, we won! Oh my God, they came back.
Let me tell you, on behalf of all Miami Dolphins fans, I'll say, hold my beer to tell you about that.
Hold my beer. Do you want to dive into that? Do you want to segue into your Miami Dolphins?
Quickly and out.
Okay, quick and wow, first time ever. Listeners, mark your calendars. This is going to be a quick in and out on the Miami Dolphins.
Well, relatively speaking, for me.
Right.
First of all, I changed my scenery because I've been watching. I've had DirecTV before last this year, and then Sunday Ticket. But this time around, I'm actually happened to be in New York City. And New York City used to, I used to live here forever and ever. We have a bar called Slattery's, which is essentially a 2-story, really big Irish pub off Fifth Avenue near the Empire State Building. And but it's owned by Dolphin fans, so it is the Dolphins bar on game day, and it's literally 1,000 people there in all Dolphin jerseys, grizzled New York City, Yeah, it's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
So I haven't been in several years because I was living in Saratoga Springs and I moved up to the Hudson Valley. So anyway, I came back, same bartender, the same woman. She's like, oh, my God, you're back. So she starts pouring me the double Tito's and soda. I go, no, things have changed a little bit. I'll have a Diet Coke. She's like, what? She goes, no, it's on me. I go, no. It's not. Anyway, the point is that by the time it was game time, I mean, the energy and people I don't consider friends because I don't even know their last name, but they're all kind of, oh, hey, you're back, whatever, all that stuff. It's very kind of that. And it's very much an environment that you would love if it was like, it was a very cool vibe. And more, I kept thinking of Austin. Austin would really like it. It's like they have a DJ and they have like former Dolphin greats always there, and they have giveaways, and they don't play commercials. They play like, anyway, it's like everything from death metal music to Beyonce, and it's all really cool stuff, And sometimes the DJ gets carried away, and the actual game is going on. And go, what the? They turned that off. Anyway, so everything was okay except the first. If you remember, I don't know if you saw it. The first 6 plays, 3 Dolphins went out injured.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable at home. So it wasn't
Yeah.
even the field. We don't know what it was, including our center, which is our anchor to the entire line. He's gone for the whole season. Of course he is. All right. Dolphins are flat. We have a pick six again, the third straight game. We have a pick six, which is unbelievable. We've never done that in franchise history. So the offense doesn't score at home against Tennessee, who can't win on the road. They're 0-90 on the road. So what is happening? What happened was Tyreek Hill pulled up lame. As I told you last week, that's my biggest fear. Every time he's tackled, his ankle's going to roll or he's going to something. And sure enough, an ankle sprain. So he's out of the game. And what happens? It exposes the one-dimension quality that we have. As dynamic as the offense is, it's reliant almost entirely on the deep safety going with Tyreek wherever he goes. Right. Therefore, when Tyreek's not there, it becomes they can press forward, not worry about being beat downfield, and it's to us still trying to thread that needle when it's not there. All right. So all of that's happening. Meanwhile, we're running the ball well, and we're not sticking to the run. So I'm putting this on Mike McDaniel, on the coach. Both our runners have more than 80 yards running for the game, and they got the ball 1/4 as many times as they should have gotten the ball. All of that, including the last two drives, which I can't even put I would have put my head in a vice because I'm so distressed by the play calls in those last two series.
Yeah.
All right. Having said all of that, I have to exhale. I have to remember the Eagles lost to the Jets. Okay, I mean the Chiefs lost to everybody.
Yes, I mean it is upside down season.
So I had to just look. It was kind of unexpected to expect 14-3 being our record at the end of the year. So, all right, we're heading into the thick of it. This week's game against by the way, in this bar, the best thing about it, because after every touchdown, they play the Miami Dolphins fight song, which I won't illuminate our audience now with my version of it because I'm aggressively tone deaf. But essentially, if you go on my Instagram, in the Instagram stories, you can see, or my posts, you can hear the song. Anyway, after the song is over, the entire bar, both floors, and it's rocking, right? They all say Jets suck. Jets suck. Because that's their chant. Right. The Jets, whatever. Anyway, it's endearing. So therefore, we can imagine the environment, what's going to be like in there this Sunday when the Jets come to Miami to play. If Miami doesn't win against the Jets, I'm going to leave that bar third quarter and crawl under people's legs to get out because it's going to be a terrifying mess. Anyway, let's assume that the Dolphins beat the Jets, and then then we'll become 10-4. Then we go the whole season, like we've been talking about since week 3, comes down to what? Cowboys at Miami on Christmas Eve. Dolphins at Baltimore Ravens the next Sunday. End the season with Buffalo at Miami. Mm-hmm. And Buffalo looks, what's the word again? Unbeatable.
Maybe.
But they won't, right? But they'll be beatable all of a sudden. They'll lose to some other random team. They'll lose to the Panthers on Sunday or something. All right. So my point is that the Dolphins are everything. It could be a season that I told you so, or a season of redemption. Comes down to this, like always, December football, right? So that's going to be interesting to watch. And that's all I got for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking real quick. The Bills play the Cowboys this weekend, so I mean that. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I mean, I guess if they go out and beat the Cowboys, then it's like, oh shit. Right.
So I'm hoping for a double.
My point was, I don't think they will. I think they'll get another tally in their loss column.
If they're both kind of trending really strong right now, it could be a really great game.
Yeah, and then unfortunately for you,
it'd be like 39-38 overtime loss once again. But the Bills don't just endear me; it'll warm the cockles on my heart if Josh loses if he loses another quarterback loses another overtime game.
Yes, but then unfortunately for you, they play the Chargers and my Patriots. So
who's that? The Bills, Chargers, and Patriots. Oh yeah, so yeah, and then they play us, right? So that's yeah. So I think they have to lose against the Cowboys, and then.
Yeah, listen, it was a shock. It was obviously unfortunately one of the worst collapses in NFL history.
With the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you one last stat. One last stat. It was the worst collapse. There were 750 plus games that the one team had a 14-point advantage with 4 minutes left. Never had that team that was 14 points down had won the game. Not in overtime. Ever in the history of football.
Yeah.
So instead of collapse, it was historic.
Yeah.
Of course, because the Dolphins can't collapse normally. We have to collapse in epic way.
But I do think I do think it was an anomaly. Watching Tyreek Hill's injury, it didn't appear to be like extremely serious.
No.
So listen, the Dolphins, they're going to go to the playoffs. Are they going to get the 1 seed? Probably not. So at that point, you're playing for maybe like one home game or whatever it is. My point is, they need to be healthy and on a good momentum as they roll in. And I don't think this game's gonna matter a whole lot.
I don't mind the playoffs at home if we have a Pittsburgh or the Browns or one of those teams. I don't want to play the Chiefs in the first round. I just don't. I don't want to play the Bills in the first round.
Well, speaking of Chiefs,
before I tell you the Tyreek Hill injury, speaking of which, he's always been a little bit dinged up every past 4 games. He walks off and then comes back. He did the same thing kind of in a more serious way. He came back in the third quarter more of a decoy than a player. But anyway, so he said he wasn't going to go back in, and he called his wife at halftime, and she goes, "You better get your ass back in there." Because those boys need you. Your teammates need you. He was like, "Okay, yes, ma'am."
Yeah,
like, I'm a newlywed. I got to do what she says.
He's one of those. He's one of those players like Gronk was. Gronk was riddled with injuries, and there were parts of seasons where Gronk was an absolute shell of himself. He was probably like 50%, but you put him on the field because there's that what if. Like you can't. No matter, even if he's just 50%, there's still that one possibility that he might, with Tyreek, there's still that one possibility that he just might run straight. If his ankle's messed up and he can't cut left and right, he might just go.
If that Advil extra strength kicked in for one play, he's going to be like, okay, go.
Tyreek, we just need you to run a 80-yard sprint, dead straight. Don't even cut.
No, he has to do the RPF flare and tear. Come on, he has to do my patented flare and tear.
I do think they're going to be okay. I mean, in fact, if anything, I believe it's probably a blessing in disguise that you guys have the Jets. You probably won't need Tyreek a whole lot for that game. Knock on wood, but so yeah. At any rate,
and we did sign 2 more offensive linemen. We signed an outside linebacker. So we need a week of normalizing before we face those 3 monsters coming up.
But I was segueing into the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously took on the Bills this past week and lost. For those of you who didn't watch the game, another crazy ending. The Chiefs they lost 20-17, and the Chiefs were actually driving down the field to put something together, and they made
after many drop passes.
Of course, that goes without saying at this point in the season for the Chiefs. But they make this miraculous play, probably one of the greatest plays of the season so far. This pass to Travis Kelce, and he makes this like beautiful, like quick release lateral pass.
Travis Kelce threw a better pass than any Jets quarterback this year.
Yes, that's true. To Kadarius Toney, who takes it in for a touchdown. The whole place is going bonkers. And then, wait a minute, there's a flag on the play.
Can I tell
the very person who caught the lateral and scored the touchdown was, in fact, offsides at lineup.
I always noticed, a lot of fans, I'm sure, do. I literally, because the camera's right down the line. And I kept thinking, this is my face. Wait, is it just me? Or is he like literally, you can't see the ball. His foot is covered. That's the neutral zone. You can't be there.
Yeah.
In your offense. And I'm thinking, wait, what?
Yeah.
And sure enough, flag went up. And then the reaction.
And then Mahomes flips out on the sidelines, and then takes it into the press conference. RPF, here's my question for you. So aside from all the dramatics, here's my question to you: do you think Patrick Mahomes is warranted in his angst?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. This was a clear violation. This wasn't a I touched you pass interference. This was none of that stuff. This was a clear foul. If in the past they warned them, that's a courtesy. If in the past they didn't call it, that's a mistake. I'm sorry. If this was the Dolphins, if this was Tua and Tyreek and everything, and Tyreek's big foot was in the middle of that, I'm sorry. I can't argue against that. And particularly
the guy's 5'6". There's no way he's got a big foot.
Well, I don't know. I was going to say something weird about cheetahs, but I'm not even sure about that either. I skipped that episode of National Geographic. The cheetah in the wild in the Serengeti, mating season. Anyway, that's the sound they make, by the way.
I completely agree with you.
But his reaction. I'm saying it's symptomatic. His reaction is this entitlement that Peyton Manning used to have, that John Elway used to have, and Brady. My God, Brady! If you walk by him, he would start screaming, literally like this. Like my rules are different from me. How dare you? And that's kind of like it. It has been building this whole season. Mahomes has always been this humble guy, everyman. Everyone loves him. Who doesn't love Patrick Mahomes? And he's the most likable guy ever, including that show quarterback that revealed he's a great guy. His overreaction, his absurd reaction to this, and then even taking it to the hug with the opposing quarterback at the end of the game.
So that's where I have the biggest issue.
Yeah,
the biggest issue.
What the hell's that? That's not sportsmanship.
Go shake the other quarterback's hands, say good game, and just and move on.
Walk away.
Right. You don't subliminally say, hey, we would have won, but we didn't.
That's subliminally. He basically said.
I mean, he didn't say that. Is my point.
Okay. Sorry. And Trump's not saying he's going to be a dictator, but yeah, we kind of know what's coming. So the point is that Mahomes said to him, "If not for that call,
It was so petty." But so here's my take. I've got a little different spin on it. Aside from it, I should not aside from it. So I didn't see it so much as the entitlement argument. I saw it more as like, are we actually seeing Patrick Mahomes' true colors? Because since he's come in the league, he's never really had a whole lot of adversity, right? And what I'm seeing,
he never had a playoff game, not in Arrowhead ever.
Yeah,
outside the Super Bowl.
It's incredible. So, to me, I was kind of seeing more of like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, like things aren't going the Chiefs' way. And all of a sudden the pressure of I'm a $500 million quarterback and we aren't the number one seed. And now all of a sudden it's like building up inside of him. And that's kind of what I saw. And, listen, the tirade on the sideline where you're yelling at the ref, fine. In the heat of the moment, you're pissed off and everything. And fine. Like, should you do it? No. Does it happen? Of course. The comments he made to Josh Allen when they were shaking hands are absolutely
but also
ridiculous.
The press conference. You go in the locker room,
and then the press conference.
You ask your team, let me see the replay. What's happening? Well, what actually happened? They tell him, oh, it was a foul. There's no question about it. Then he still goes into the press conference and bitches about it? No, go fuck yourself. What the hell is that?
I know.
He lost fans. He lost fans. He lost a little bit of the infallibility, the whole sweetness of Mahomes. The sweetness factor is, this is the guy with all the cute commercials with Andy Reid and the insurance people. I mean, I don't know. It just felt so childish and so.
He got up at his press conference and said, basically, not in these words, I know it was a penalty. They shouldn't have called it.
Because it's us.
What?
I mean, if this was the Carolina Panthers, people would just throw rocks at the quarterback. It's so. I mean, it's so. The thing about it, it's such a departure, a sharp right turn from where he's always been. To your point, it could either be systemic of the frustration that's building with him because everything's on him, or is it more like my issue, which I think he's becoming accustomed to having a different set of rules for him and his team. So I don't know.
Could be. All right. Outside of that, real quick, we've got the Cowboys beat the bags off the Eagles. What do you got on that, RPF?
We've been calling it for 2 years. Finally, it came true. We exposed the Eagles first. I'm going to call fraud alert. Fraud team. They're a fraud team. They're going to be gone in the first round. Eagles gone in the first round. Yeah. Whomever they play. Even if they play the 7-10 champion of the NFC South, whomever that whatever bottom feeding team manages to scrounge up the ladder, and they'll lose. The Eagles will lose to them.
Yeah.
I call it now.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I'm not too far off on you with that one. Sad note, my mighty Lions got defeated by the Bears.
That's another inexplicable. What?
Yeah, so I'm worried about
2 out of 3 weeks that they have. I mean, Packers and Bears were on the win column, easy check marks for you guys.
I'm a little worried about them.
Lions is you guys now. Yeah, the Lions. I don't know, but they're also streaky. And Dan Campbell, the coach, which we talk about a lot, we love him.
Yeah.
He was taking it personally. He said, "I got to do a better job. I got to get this team ready." So I like that. I like the fact that he's gonna, which is not a given in this please don't fire me days of keep your head down. Maybe they won't notice that we're 4-7, era of coaching.
Yeah. And then, of course, we had Joe Flacco coming out of the retirement home and beating the Jaguars 31-27.
Listening to Huey Lewis in the news on his 8-track, and he's like,
"Sweet, I like
it." Right. It's like the power of love. He's like, "Yeah." Meanwhile, again, kids, Google that. You have no idea what I just said. But anyway, the point is that Joe Flacco is literally. I think he was playing with this is a good one. You wouldn't even know this name. Burt Jones, the quarterback for the Baltimore Colts. I think he was playing back when Flacco was playing. Anyway, the point is that Flacco is, for one thing Flacco always had, he still has it clearly, is this cannon for an arm. I mean, he literally can stand flat-footed on the 10-yard line and reach the other end zone. It's crazy. So, I mean, if it's real, I mean, he looks more impressive than Deshaun Watson has his entire year. So, there's that.
True.
Anyway.
Do you think it spells distress for the Jaguars?
I think the Jaguars are,
because I mean, we've been pretty high on them.
Funny, because the Dolphins get this a lot, justifiably. They haven't proven themselves.
Yeah.
What have the Jags done? I mean, they haven't done anything.
I was going to say they beat the Bills, but they always beat the Bills.
Right. The Bills is like the Jags are the Bills' daddy for some reason. But I do think the Jags have to do something. They have to sustain something. So
fair.
The jury's out still.
Jury's out. And then we have the last game I wanted to touch on, probably, arguably, the game of the year, and that was the Vikings 3 over the Raiders 0.
Oh my God. I literally, again, I was watching that, the red zone thing, and it was like, and the guy kept going back. He was like, "It's 0-0." And meanwhile, they had a field goal attempt in the first half. I thought, okay, at least it'll break the tie, and it was wide left or something. So it was 0-0 going into halftime. And then it was like 0-0 third quarter. I said, is there any team this year that had, it wasn't this year, I think no game since 1972 had gone 0-0 into overtime. It was crazy. So finally, at the last second, field goal, it was the guy was carting it around like he just won the Super Bowl. It's hilarious.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And the funny thing to me personally was, so our neighbor, Dan, who big football fan, huge football. He's a Cowboys fan, but he's a huge football fan. He hasn't been to an NFL game.
And he was a Dolly Parton fan at halftime.
That's right.
Very alarming.
But he hasn't been to an NFL football game in I don't know how long or whatever. He has some sort of connection through friends that with the Vikings. So he actually went to this game out in Vegas and was so excited to go. And I was texting. I was like, "Hey, how's the game, buddy?"
I said, when it's spicy brown mustard on the sausage is the most exciting part of the whole game so far. Oh my God. Of all the games you could cherry pick to go to, that would be, oh my God. I would be like, great. Fantastic.
All right, so here's what happens, RPF.
Go ahead.
After week 14, we are set up with, I want to get this right here. We are set up with, I want to say 6 teams all bottlenecked with the same record.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you.
Okay, you hit it. You got it right in front of you. You hit it with.
Yes, hit me with it. There are 11 teams in the AFC with a winning record. 6 of those sit at 7-6. Both of them are all-time record for the NFL. The fact that there's that many teams after week 14, 11 teams that have winning records, and 6 of those are at 7-6. So it's literally like catnip for the NFL schedulers and the ratings people. They're like, oh my God. No one's out of it except, of course, the Patriots.
That's actually true. That's actually true.
I know.
The 15. It's because after 7 and 6, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are all 5 and 8.
Yeah, the Patriots are not.
We mathematically got eliminated last week when the Bengals won, I believe.
I'm sure that's the reason. Yeah, not the 10 losses you earned.
Those are well earned, damn it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Another news in the NFL, if I tell you, they just had they had 2 owner meetings per year. They had the one in mid-season now, or in season, and then they just approved the first game ever next year to be played in South America. It's going to be played in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh wow!
I suspect either the Dolphins or the Cowboys will be going down to Brazil because of the proximity and all the direct flights. There's more international flights nonstop from Sao Paulo to both Miami and Dallas than any other place in the U.S.
Wow.
All right, so then that's that. They also are talking something interesting. They're on the verge, and they may pick it up at the second owners meeting after the Super Bowl or in March or something. They're going to talk about having a 4-team division in the NFL that's only international. And I'm thinking, okay, one in London, obviously, one in Germany. They played there a couple times. They want to do one in Mexico and in Brazil. So does the Brazilian team have to fly to Germany for an away game? I mean, first of all, in 4 teams, what does that do? Because how do you have to integrate them? And anyways, I'm very confused. I think it should be at least 8 teams in the Latin America and in Europe. Should be 2 different divisions, and then meet in the global Super Bowl with each other or something, right?
Right. Yeah, man, that's interesting. I mean, my thought, obviously they're trying to expand globally, and my thought was, if looking at Europe just in general, if you put like maybe 2 teams in England, 1 in Germany, and then 1 somewhere else, you could then feasibly, it'd be a lot of logistics, but you could then feasibly send a team over there. And have and they go play all 4 of them, and then come home. So that way they're not.
It's a long way to be
something along those lines. You know what I mean? That way they're not flying back and forth, and but obviously you have to provide them with facilities.
And the flip side would be Brazil, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, and whatever in 3 Latin countries. It would be like the Dolphins and I mean that'd be pretty cool. And the Rams will play them or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anyway, my only concern being the abysmal, in my opinion, much of the abysmal performance in the NFL so far this year is the more teams they add, the more watered down that competition is going to get.
Or the flip side is the Teddy Bridgewater and Zach Wilson will become star quarterbacks again.
He gets Zach Wilson gets to go to Brazil, and they're like, "Who's this guy? We've never heard of him." And he's a clean slate.
The Athletic just broke today that they have rumor has it, shocker, that the Jets are quietly shopping around Zach Wilson after the season. And I said, why be quiet about it? Just say, anybody, please take him.
Please, yeah, quietly shopping.
And by the way, and here's interesting. I'm actually a little tiny bit, 5% worried about Zach Wilson this week against Miami because he's playing for a better contract somewhere. So he's actually motivated.
He's not motivated to get out of there.
Right. Well, after the team, he wants to make sure he has a contract somewhere. So he's going to be like, even more perky and annoying than usual. He's like that elf in that Rudolph the Reindeer show. I gotta be me. That's Zach Wilson.
That's funny. That reminds me of one of my first recollections of playing professional baseball when I realized that holy shit, this is a business. I was with the Royals at the time, and I had one of the Royals, not an administrator, but more of a coordinator, explain to not just me, there's a little group of us, but explain to us that hey, you don't have to love the Royals, but when you go out there and pitch, you're pitching for 29 other teams if you don't like us. And I was like, oh. You're brought up to be like, oh, this is my team, and I pitch for and he was like, no, you don't have to. He's like,
in any business, every magazine I've ever done, it's not only for the joy and the power and the success and my team and everyone and the coming together of this kind of birthing this great idea on a blank canvas to become a magazine. It's also the first page of my resume. Here's Exhibit A of what I do, right? So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Interesting. So jumping back to the bottleneck and the wild card real quick, not to be outdone, I was just looking at this, the NFC also.
well, they're a little different because they have 3 teams that are 10-3 or 9-4, so 4 teams. So they're a little bit more settled. They're like, all these teams are in the bottom fighting for 2 wild card or 2 positions.
Just the wild card. Yeah.
And then the division leader of the bottom feeding South.
But I mean, so essentially you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams all vying for 2 wild card spots. And then in the AFC, we're looking at, well, I guess they could overtake them, really.
There's actually 9 teams that are in play that are not division leaders in the AFC. 9, except the Patriots.
Yeah, it's it'll make for some great stuff coming up. And speaking of which, let's take a quick look at Week 15 coming up here. Of course, we get out of the gate with the Raiders and Chargers. So if you guys need to do any Thursday shopping before Christmas,
exactly. I'm like so happy I get to watch my other channels on Bravo or something. I'll DVR it just in case, but whatever.
That's right.
The greatest game ever.
Oh, here's a fun one. So this week marks the kickoff of the Saturday game slates. So this Saturday we've got 3 games, which is
Saturday
always
night
fun.
One I remember being interesting. What was it?
Yes, it is. So the first one, the 1 o'clock, we've got Vikings Bengals. Again, both teams sitting at 7 and 6. Like a lot of these games are going to be really good. Like
Bengals before the season started, that must have been a marquee game.
Actually,
everyone.
Given what we just said, I'm looking at this right now. Given what we just said about all the teams at 7 and 6, there's 6 teams playing on Saturday night or Saturday, and 5 of them are 7 and 6. But anyway, we've got Vikings Bengals.
The fight for the middle on Saturday night.
It's exciting, man. Hey, fan bases are going to make playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Dreams are going to be made and shattered. It's going to be fantastic. We've also got Steelers and Colts at 4:30. I don't know. Steelers seem to be trending downward, I think.
And the Colts, that ragdoll quarterback of theirs.
Love him. Don't you speak of him like that. No, Minshew Mania.
Ragdoll's good. Yeah, the ragdoll's great.
And then the night game, the 8 o'clock primetime game is the Broncos Lions.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be good.
Yeah, I think that should be pretty interesting.
It's actually the Lions are trending nervy, and the Broncos, even though they lost this last game barely, they are still on the redemption tour since the Dolphins game. So I think that's going to be the game. Well, one of the games of the week that I'll be watching for sure.
Yep, definitely. And then let's see, going on to Sunday, 1 o'clock. So we've got your Dolphins taking on the Jets in Miami.
The Dolphins, the greatest football team.
Okay. Knock on wood, it shouldn't be a problem. And then we've got Texans and Titans. Texans, one of those aforementioned 7 and 6 teams, taking on the Titans,
the resurgent Titans.
The resurgent Titans at 5 and 8 could be coming back. Who knows?
Did you see the Titans quarterback's reaction when he got the 2-point conversion?
No.
At the end of the game, it was like, the cliche phrase everyone screams now is like, "Let's go!" Right? He was literally. First of all, he looks like G.I. Joe and Ken had a baby. Okay. It's 2023. People, imagine that. Okay. All right. I'm not sure what that means. And then he gets off. He takes off. Everyone's like doing this, like, look at my face thing. He's like, yeah, let's go. And he was so over the top. The coaches were like, okay, dude, there's 4 minutes left. Okay.
We got him in.
The guy named Tua and all his weapons. So just calm down. Unless he knew something we didn't. Anyway, the point is he was just so over. Talk about over the top reactions. It was like a little bit like pretend you've been here before. Okay, relax. Okay, anyway, go ahead. So the Mighty Titans are playing whom?
The Texans.
Okay, right. That could be something.
Yep, that could be a good game. We got Buccaneers, Packers, both of them sitting at 6 and 7. So basically, this is a big swing game for one of them, right?
Packers
Either
6 and 7 or 7 and 6.
6 and 7.
Okay.
So somebody's going to move to 500, and then someone's playoff chances are going to drastically dwindle.
That's good.
Then we got Giants Saints.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, barn burner there. Although, arguably, the highlight, the weirdness of the week is that quarterback's agent and that
Oh my gosh!
Central casting from Tony Soprano's like vault or something. It was like bada bing, bada bing.
Hey, forget about it.
Hey, I know a guy. Come here. Hey, Louis, Auto Shop. He'll do the spokesmanship. Yeah, he'll do it. Anyway, it's gonna be. The guy was Central effing casting. I could not get enough of him. I love him.
Here's something interesting as I'm looking at it as we speak. So of these next 3 games, I already mentioned Bucs and Packers and Giants and Saints. And then the next one's the Falcons and Panthers. In all 3 of these games, you're kind of like snooze fest. However, as I look at it, the Buccaneers, the Saints, and the Falcons are all vying for their division at 6 and 7.
That's what I'm saying. Whatever team of those 3 that are going to be undeserving, first of all, they get a higher seed than possibly the Eagles, because the Eagles are not the top seed and they're not a division champion. They fall to the 5 seed.
Oh my gosh!
So potentially, the Eagles will be playing at Tampa Bay in the first round, which is hilarious to me because Tampa Bay is going to beat them.
Fascinating.
Or the Falcons.
Yeah. All right. Then we got Bears and Browns. The Browns are sitting at 8-5. They're hanging in there pretty well.
Yeah. Flacco.
Chiefs. Here's a good one. Chiefs at Patriots. What if they can come to Gillette and we can pull off this upset?
I would
what will we see? What will we see?
I will speak well. I will speak very well of Tom Brady and your whole organization for 10 minutes on this podcast if the Patriots beat the Chiefs. And I will mention Tom Brady's making out with his son. And what I'm telling you,
sold news.
Sold news. That was so last decade. I still can't get over it. What was the thing? Wasn't this game flexed out of the schedule or something?
Is this the one? I think there was. I know they had a game flexed out.
There was like Monday Night Football marquee game. They're like, not so much.
I think this was the one. I think you're right.
All right, they put the Eagles game. Oh, they put the Eagles game on.
Eagles Seahawks on Monday night. Wrapping up Sunday, we've heading into the 4 o'clocks. We've got 49ers Cardinals, meh. Commanders Rams, meh. And then we got Cowboys Bills, the last 4 o'clock game. That's a good one. It's in Buffalo too.
That's a game of the week for sure.
That'll be a good one, or should be at least.
What's the Sunday night game?
They've got Buffalo favored by 2.5 on that one.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
And then Sunday night is also a good one. Ravens Jaguars. See if the Jaguars can show up and do something.
I think it'd be nice. Is it at Jacksonville?
It's in Jacksonville. Yeah.
Okay, so the Brett Girl can whip his hair around and get some results, because we definitely need Jags.
That's right.
Dolphin fans.
We need more content to put out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Monday night, we've got your Eagles Seahawks, as RPF just mentioned, to wrap up the finality of Week 15. So yeah, got a lot of good stuff going forward. A lot of fun action at the middle of the pack in both conferences.
Can we get
really
to the
shape
NBA,
up this wild
please?
card hunt? Let's get to the NBA now.
Briefly. Under the heading, WTF Draymond Green.
Oh my gosh, I saw this.
Yes.
What? Hang on, wait. Best part is after he like roundhouse punches this guy in the face, he's like, "What?" I was trying to get out of the move.
It wasn't a back of the hand. It wasn't an open hand. It was a punch, a roundhouse, Mike Tyson worthy punch. And speaking of Mike Tyson, I hung out with him this weekend, but that's all. I saw that. Yeah. I cannot tell you this guy, and everyone says, by the way, which I'm so tired of hearing it. Oh, he's a great guy, Draymond Green. You know what he is? He is a 17-time suspended problem.
18, I think.
18 with this one.
I think maybe this is the 18th.
Yeah. This is not a good guy. This is a guy who has severe issues. He should not be playing professional sports, particularly team sports. Maybe he should take up tennis.
This is his third in the last month.
He literally needs, and rightfully so. Finally, he's suspended indefinitely, which is Charles Barkley said. I'm not sure what indefinitely means. He says. I think he means like what does the NBA mean by indefinitely, not the actual word. He doesn't know what it means. Anyway, but it was pretty funny. I will tell you, this guy is he's assaulting players. He has to be off the sporting world. He needs severe therapy and anger management and maybe electroshock therapy or something, or a good MDMA trip or something, because he is not feeling. He doesn't have any endorphins left in his body. No joy in that guy.
No.
Anyway, off the court, please.
Yes.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about is the NCAA. If it's just me, I know you don't follow it carefully, but is it just me, or has the words transfer portal entered the lexicon in a dramatic fashion? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
The transfer portal is what they do, is what now players in college are able to do.
Right. Yeah. I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but first of all, it sounds like a Star Trek term. Like, I'll take Spock, please. On the transfer portal. It's like, you get Uhuru and I'll get Spock. But it's literally all these top tier quarterbacks from the top colleges are like now in the transfer portal, going to other teams and other conferences. It's so messy. Not only football, by the way, all the other sports are also in college just doing this. Anyway, I'm kind of like, is it just me, or should a person be able, I think they should be able to transfer after 2 years only once, and I don't know.
Agreed.
There's some players that are transferring every year just to find the spot they can land on. I don't know. I find it's still college is about education first, no? Or at least can we pretend a little bit that's still about education?
Yep.
So anyway, that's just my old man rant for a second about that. Okay, and now, two most important things ever to end our podcast with.
Should we address the fact that my scenery has changed? I feel it's a little awkward.
The fact that I can't see you anymore. It's almost like you never look better to me. You look dashing.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
But maybe people can't see you. No, I'm just saying that Netflix has now entered the live sports arena in a very interesting way. And Netflix, I think they were smart, because this seems so marketing department idea where they can't. Because Netflix, being such a leader in everything they've done, in every, the first streamer and the first, the most budgets, the biggest budgets. So for them to enter live sports, it has to be a little bit marquee entertaining, right? It can't just be, we picked up the LPGA tournament in El Paso, right? So what they're doing is to kick off this phenomenon that they're doing now is they put together an exhibition in March of 2024 between Rafa Nadal in his final season and Carlos Alcaraz.
I saw this, yeah.
His childhood hero, and they both said that they want to play against each other and with each other in the Olympics as much as possible for this last year that Rafa's competitive, because it's like the mentor and the mentee, and the icon and the student. So it's like it's almost like the Karate Kid if whatever wax on wax off guy was with his student in a competition, for karate. Anyway, so that's going to be a great exhibition there. But the most important thing, which we haven't mentioned, Taylor Swift, and my Swifties, and she was at the Chiefs game when her man threw the most beautiful spiral lateral in recorded history that didn't count, as we mentioned. But for that crowd, I just want to make sure that they understand that this new season, season 28, little more seasons than we have, by the way, of The Bachelor, is Joey G. Joey is an Italian, good-looking, but kind of a dude. He's a teaching tennis pro in Hawaii, but he's from New Jersey or something. But anyway, he's a lefty. So all the Bachelor ads leading up to the new season are him in this like pink suit with a tennis racket. And two things I didn't know. One is straight men can still wear pink suits, which I enjoy. Secondly, is that he's a lefty, which is interesting. So, but the great slogan that they came up with is, and he's playing tennis with like the thing, kind of like with his roses and his tennis racket. And he says, And the slogan is, in tennis, love means nothing. For The Bachelor, love is everything. Cannot be here more for that. When my worlds collide, when the Bachelor Nation and sports, of course, are together, united into one seamless, with a Swiftie kind of sprinkling that people will enjoy. Anyway, I just wanted to end our podcast on a very positive pop cultural
what
note.
a fantastic, loving note to end the podcast on. You've done a phenomenal job.
I can't even see you, which is even better.
All right. Well, hey, listen, that is all the time we have for the show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had a blast. We hope you did too. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the great platforms. You can find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, and we will pop right up for your listening pleasure. And as always, I need to do my friend RPF a solid, otherwise he will give me 50 lashes with a wet noodle. Like, subscribe, comment, follow,
Yes.
all the things.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
All right.
That's all the time we got. We'll see you.
Bye.